Hello, 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 and welcome back to another Boomeadow build. I apologise for the slight technical difficulties there. Hopefully they will be kept to a minimum. It has been a hot second since I got into some world building and map making on the pure basis of I've been very busy with work. I will keep that in mind as ever. I have not yet done it, so... Yes, I'm deciding to give a bit of an update to my... well, some history in my world. So, we are actually going to be working on the capital city of the Fire Realm. This is called Ember's Den, just giving a bit of an update and things like this because... well, you never know when you're going to need a map for things and whatnot, and as I'm discovering, because there is the possibility of time travel in my world, there is every possibility that I may need it sooner rather than later, and it's also nice to not have to do the same maps of the same areas constantly, because there's only so many towns that I can build in the Sweet Hills and things like that before, you get bored of seeing the Technicolor throw up. So I thought I would give this a go back in time. Also the potential of these being available on my Patreon eventually. So I am in the process of setting one up for those who would like to run in the setting of Azuria, or as it is known in the incarnation as you would see it in the Saturday game, the State of Anarchy. It is called Avani by that time, because the world has gone through several cataclysms by that point. So, yeah. So I thought it was about time to give it a facelift, because the town that I had been using is actually one that I found on Pinterest, which is absolutely great, but because I do like to show my players and whatnot the places, and also I like to show my stream the towns and cities that the players are going to go visit and things like this. I decided that I would give it a bit of a revamp, a bit of an update, make it a bit more mine rather than, using somebody else's world map. So here we are. As you can see, this is the capital of the Fire Realm. It is taking on the image a bit like a phoenix. The Fire Realm in Avani/Azuria. This landmass, by the time you see it in the Saturday Realm, we've actually got a couple of players from areas that exist from this. So anyone who is from the Ascendant Isles, so this would be Sebastian and Harsaruk, their landmass, the Ascendant Isles, is made up of the remains of the landmass of Azuria. It was destroyed in an event known as the Starfall, which is why, colloquially to the outsiders, they are known as the Starfall Islands. So I hope that explains that a little bit for everyone. So, yesterday I laid down the walls at least. I've got a gladiators arena because the Fire Realm, they do have a huge proponent of gladiatorial events and things like that. So, yeah. What are some areas that I need? Okay. We'll start with the Fire Master's residence. So, the government of the Fire Realm actually, every 9 years, they hold what is known as the Fire Master's Games. The Fire Master refers to the leader of the Fire Realm, but also the Fire Master is the name of the elemental draconic god, who his name is Sinan. He is essentially the dragon, the fire dragon that created this place. And so they compete for his honour, and of the, I believe it's 5 families, they put forward champions and things like this to participate, and from those champions, whoever wins, that family will be the rulers of the Fire Realm for the next 9 years. So, yeah. It is a very hot, desertous country that is bordered by the water and the earth realms. Obviously, they do have large volcanoes and things like this in the area. And all of the towns and cities are built around oases. In addition to this, they have a culture where they do not drink. So, in this place, they don't drink. They do have smokables at the taverns and things like that. But as a general rule, they themselves abstain from alcohol. It wouldn't be good for them in an environment where it can be very dehydrating. So what I'm actually looking for straight off the bat is if they have anything that would... See, I know these are like the noble buildings, and I might have to actually build together something, I think. Hash together some things. Now, for once, I am not actually building this at 3K. So it doesn't appear very clear at the moment. So I might change that very shortly if we want to actually look at clearer maps as I'm building. Just let me know. And how are all you doing at the moment? I hope you've had okay weeks. Like I said, I've been very busy with work recently. I've been doing some wonderful books by various authors. A vast majority of my books are definitely, well, I say a vast majority, all of the books that I work on are definitely not children friendly. Yes, the Easter long weekend, Zephyr. Also, hello, it's welcome. I'm glad to have you here. Yeah, so I have been working with some wonderful authors. Clarissa Wilde on her Dark Mafia series, Beauty and Beast. It's a duology. I've also been working with, I finally finished up a series of sapphic romances by Cara Malone, called the Forever Veterinary Romance series. So if you like lesbian romance, check those out. They are a really great series about a group of vets who are friends who find love. In addition to that, I have been just started actually a 3rd book for the wonderful David Parker Ross in the Perception series. I already voice, for those who don't know, I already voice his Australian character Hannah Grant, which that book is a bit more sci-fi. And yes, I voice Hannah Grant in that for this book that I'm doing, which is Stacey's half-sister. And she is an illegal gen mod. So the book is set slightly in the future. Well, the book is set a couple centuries in the future to our world, but the whole idea of it is Australia has fallen in the war against the European Union, and essentially it catalogues the journey of each of the characters in the series, who end up being supporters of a genetically modified American Marine known as Jenna Plural. And all of their stories, as David says, the stories may not necessarily be accurate because they are all told from the perspective of those who are involved. I don't like this build. I'm going to look in some different buildings, I think. Because as much as I'm going to use these desert buildings and whatnot for most of them, I still want it to look pretty ostentatious. None of these are going to cover it for me, I don't think. So what is everybody's plans for Easter, if you celebrate Easter, of course? These wooden spire buildings are the right colour. Oh, they're a bit more of what I'm looking for. Chocolate Lotto, nice. Travelling north for the weekend. Where you are, Zephyr, is it going to be... Our Easter down here in South Australia is already shaping up to be a pretty wet, miserable one. What about for you guys? Nice. Hello, the Bandit King. How are you? Yes, I can definitely understand that. I recently changed over my aerial for my internet. So hopefully, fingers crossed, my internet issues should have cleared up a bit. Also, Tide Runner. I have to utilize Zephyr's first, but I will keep yours there for the next time. Just to remind me. Because I know that you really want to get on top of those save moments. How are you doing anyway, Tide Runner? Oof. Having outage. No, don't like that. I feel for you. cabin feverish? Yes, I do feel for you with your slight, not internet issues, full computer issues. I hope you are up and running soon. You have my condolences. I have been there, done that. Do not wish to repeat. It's one of the reasons why I save all of my stuff. Yeah, I understand that completely. It is one of the major reasons that, after it happened to me, it is one of the major reasons I save all of my game information and stuff on OneDrive and in the cloud so that I have access to it and it's not going to get destroyed if my computer absolutely dies. I seriously hope you can get it up and running soon. Because I use it for work, I do pay for an upgrade. So, I end up having about, I think I've got like 2 terabyte of space. Yeah, I save all my work stuff on it as well, so yeah, that ends up becoming the problem. I hope you get it up and running soon though. Well, we certainly don't want Hasa to have to be out longer than he needs to be. Which I know that that's not entirely what it's about, but I can lament that you're not going to be there. You will certainly be missed. What is... There we go. Much happier with that, I think. Oh, I was thinking he will end up more with more than just potions. I don't think I've changed the water texture, so I might actually also do that while I'm here. Start with this blue. She might have to bring the size down. Do I need to bring it even further, perhaps? might change over to this one. Bring it down, but we'll change the colour to more bluish, I think. Because I really actually quite like the blue hue. Brightness up. There we go. Do we need to even go even smaller, perhaps? The other alternative is we go really big. No, because see, that makes the ripples too big now. Ah, you weren't here when I explained it. Yeah, no, just thinking about giving them an update, especially considering the players have found out that there is the availability that they can go back in time and stuff. And if I ever get to it, or if they ever get there, I wanted it so that they can go back there and I can still show it on stream and things like that. As well as I am in the process of setting up a Patreon. So I was thinking that I would eventually make all of my maps and start working on my world lore and the deity stuff and all that kind of stuff, the pantheon, religions, yada yada yada, slowly working my way through it as content, if anyone would be interested in that. Never assume anything, Tide Runner. I don't know what you guys are doing the best of days, so I have the massive feeling it is better to be safe than sorry. And also, the other reasoning was because there are only so many times that I can build candy-coloured towns in the same area week after week. Not that I don't think that you would enjoy seeing that week after week. I just thought that maybe it might be interesting to have something a little different. But yes, you should know better than anyone. I can't control what the players are going to do, and we'll have to see with this party. Have no fear though, if the party does level up while you're not there, Hasa will also get to level up. I had thought about putting on my usual style of music for today's session, map building session, which is a bit more of the EDM and stuff like that, but I figured it might be nice to have a bit more of a chill stream. Thoughts? It certainly helps out. I'm thinking I might end up doing a few more no talking streams like I did yesterday. just so I can get some map building done, so I can get some focusing done. If others want to also do their own kind of building but don't want to do it alone. So my thought is tomorrow, I did actually finish up Tinykin last week. So after consulting the viewers that were watching, probably going to be starting maybe Genesis Noir tomorrow in terms of gameplay. Tinykin kind of ended super abruptly. I was only about halfway through the stream and it just rolled credits because we found out the mystery, and I'm like, not sure what to do now, but here we are. But yeah, so we're thinking maybe Genesis Noir tomorrow as a game. Because I think it looks super interesting. It's graphically very pretty from what I've seen. I actually haven't even, apart from seeing a trailer, which I will give some warning, apparently there are flashing lights in it. So if you're very sensitive to flashing lights and things like this, or bright lights, this might not be a game for you. So, but apart from that, it does look like a super interesting game, and I'm super excited to try it out and get started with it. I am trying to maintain, or get back into maintaining a good streaming schedule, or my streaming schedule, should I say. But it's easier said than done at the moment, because I've been working a lot of late hours trying to get these books finished. So I believe that Hannah, the actual ebook, has gone live for Hannah, which is, the book itself is called The Awakening of Hannah Grant. And the audiobook will be out shortly at some point in May. So if you are interested in hearing more of my voice, or just my audiobook narration kind of stuff, and you don't want a romance, that might kind of be the book for you. There is swearing. I will point out, Hannah is a little bit of an entitled bully, but that is obviously part of her being who she is and how she was raised. So she is a very privileged character. So her sister her sister Stacey is a little bit more rough around the edges. Stacey's book is called That Girl from Wagga, and there is actually a prequel book that is also, I believe it's called Strike 10 from Wagga, or Strike Force from Wagga. So, yeah. Definitely give it a listen if you're interested. Stacey will also be back, I believe next year. There is a project in the works apparently, so we'll see. But there are other narrators in the series as well, the Perception series. Chloe de Berg, I believe she's voicing Emma Dodgson. And yeah, so there's some really wonderful other narrators who are doing other characters in the book. who are doing other characters in the series, who are writing their version of events as they happened for them. Or in general, if you just want to hear more of my voice because you don't get sick of me enough as it is, you can join us on Saturday nights here on the channel, on the stream, because I stream my homebrew world, my homebrew game, The State of Anarchy, with the wonderful Tide Runner, who is on hiatus at the moment, unfortunately, because of a broken computer, but we are hoping he will be joining us again very, very shortly. So I at least hope so. We are going to miss him. I believe Bao, the wonderful Tyrant Dungeon, is also currently on a study hiatus. So yeah. Yeah, that can tend to happen. But we still have a wonderful team that is going to be hopefully solving the mystery of why creatures are besieging the town of Corkwood, and uncovering some more of the personal mysteries of the group too. They currently have a guest star in the delightful Uzu Mecha. You can check out his channel here. What's the shout out, Tide Runner? Is it shout out everyone? Ah, thank you. We love that. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'll also put Uzumaker in there because he's not standard. So, I think he might be alive at the moment playing Overwatch. So depending on who finishes first, I might have to raid him. Maybe. One thing I've kind of been tossing up lately is whether I should flag my stream for slightly more mature audiences. Not because of these streams. Unfortunately, Twitch has this ruling that you can't tag individual games and whatnot, so you have to tag a whole stream. But I don't want to restrict the way that my players speak or talk within reason. So I don't know if I should flag my game going forward, my stream going forward, so that the players can, just focus on playing and things like this without having to worry about bad language or... I mean, as it is, even with my rulings, there are obvious things that we don't do anyway. For example, we do fade to black scenes and things like this just because nobody needs to play that out. At least not in a public setting. What you do in your own home games, no judgment, is your choice. I'll also, just for you, Tide Runner, I'll save. Yes, you might be perfect pure angels, Tide Runner, but some of my commenters are not. I'm talking specifically like the world's best third year and things like this. And I know, on top of that, my Nightbot can be a little overzealous. About 2 weeks ago, it flagged foot fetish as a potential threat word, which To be fair, Nightbot, you know, you do you, boo-boo. I mean, lots of people were squicked out by feet, but yeah, no kink shaming. But so, Ember's Den is from 60,000 years prior to the events of the State of Anarchy. It is in the first, at least, the design of the town that I'm doing is from the first era of the world. In the time when the Pantheon is a little skew-whiff all over the place, what with Empyrean gods, so there's Empyrean gods. There's also the Draconic gods as essentially young gods in the world. But the Empyrean Titans are still essentially the major contributors to the faith of the people. If you hear bowl sounds, I apologise. I was just handed some chocolate pudding. And you can't say no to chocolate pudding. Well, I mean, you probably could say no to chocolate pudding, but I'm not going to say no to chocolate pudding. Which leads to a question. Are you pudding and ice cream person, pudding ice cream and cream person, or just pudding alone? I'm trying to make sure I don't squeak too bad. Question. Can I find chain? Actually, I'm just going to mute myself for a second. Take a couple mouthfuls. Okay. I think I'm going to do a C chain. Obviously not that big. Some ports use C chains to essentially prevent pirates and raiders getting into the city via waterways when they shouldn't be. They can raise it or lower it. But for this to work, first of all, let's see what I'm working with here. Put it under, lower the opacity so it looks like it is under the water. Like that. I have left this section of the city open though, so should I actually put it across this top one or the bottom one here? This is where the Fire Master's residence is, so. Thoughts? From this top one here. So essentially desert travelers can come in from the city can stop in here without entering the city if they don't want to. So I was thinking do it more along the lines of here. I also know that thing. I want to put one across here, but I don't think it's going to work. I might actually have to do something like this. Do it. This. Should I do a narrower one though? You think you like the lower one down one better? My only concern was, will I have to wall off this part of the city so they can't just get in via that way? Kind of undermines the town guard, that's the problem I've got. Actually, I'll just straight up use this wall. Well, because they want to be able to barge some things in as well, so. But I will take your suggestion. I did, after all, ask for everyone's opinion. So if you think that would look better, then we will change it. Across here. I could always say that. It's the same effect taken. The 3 is definitively not going to. No, I'll go like there we go. I don't know what. I'm just going to have this go straight up, I think. Hello, the Lion of Khmer. No, I do not know why Smokey the Bear refused a deal. Why? I like that one. Well done. Thank you. I enjoyed the laugh. Because only you can prevent florist fires. Thank you. I rather enjoyed that joke. Thank you. And welcome. So how are you this evening, Lion? The Lion? Mr., Mrs., they, the Lion? So at the moment I'm just putting in dock lines, and then I'll go along and probably put in some rocks, I think, to add some points of interest in the actual, make it look a bit more realistic, like a marina kind of thing. The oases in these cities are indeed freshwater oases, obviously. Thank you for that. Yeah, no, that won't be confusing at all. That will not be confusing at all. Yeah, I've started to use the basics of what because I started in D&D about 6 years ago now. 6 or 7 years ago. Actually 7 years probably now. And so that's the kind of version of 5e that I tend to run, but I kind of as I've gone on, I kind of play a bit fast and loose with the rules anyway. The game that I'm running on Saturdays, which you can find on the stream on Saturday nights, we are doing a lot of custom rule sets and things like this because it is a bit more of it is a more futuristic campaign. The world setting itself is more modern. We're seeing the rise of ether-powered cars, ether is tended to use in the place of electricity in a world where there's magic and things like this. So there is that. As well as firearms, grenade launchers. Once the players get to a high enough level where they can where they find, they find decent hoards of money and things like this, they can potentially purchase mech suits as their armaments and things like that as well. We have a couple people playing in customized classes or subclasses. Tide Runner, who is one of our wonderful mods here, and unfortunately he is taking a tech hiatus as of this week because his computer has completely died. So he has our deepest condolences with that until he gets it up and running. But he's actually playing an alchemist in the game. So he is a Simic hybrid alchemist. And his focuses are in blight breaking and mutagens, I believe, which kind of makes him a bit of a cleric druid-ish. They're adding traits to all the weapon types that you can only use if you get mastery through one of the martial classes. Oh, see, that's interesting. I like that. So yeah, all of that stuff is coming in. See, I'm a bit of a believer in the rule sets that I tend to use. For example, my players, so we started about 2 months ago, the State of Anarchy, and I'm a big believer in still having ability score modifiers to species and racial traits and things like this. However, because my world is a custom world, I did specifically go through and create documents, and I think that in the end there ended up being about 146 species and sub-races within those species that they could choose from across 3 different planes of existence. And, it wasn't just, Aarakocra. It was, if you were from the Feywild, you could be like a hummingbird Aarakocra. And so there were obviously modifiers specifically for that, that pertain to obviously their small size and speed and things like this. There were also like the cassowary Aarakocra, the penguin Aarakocra, and things like this. So I wanted there to be as much versatility as possible to choose from for the players. And in some ways, I am aware that that is giving the players so much to choose from and look at and things like this. But a lot of the time, people don't play in my games if they want lore light, basically. I have spent 7 years creating this world, so there is a lot of world lore for it. So I wanted my players to be able to play... Oh yeah, Valcor. Poor Valcor almost had a meltdown trying to pick a species, a sub-race, even classes, because I did open up obviously options for custom classes as well, or subclasses. And he is actually playing a custom subclass. He is an urbanite Raken. So he's a raccoon person. He is an urbanite ranger. So, which I believe was picked because one of the urbanite ranger's abilities is legitimately called parkour. So, how could he resist? How could he possibly refuse? Although I do know that Valcor takes time creating characters just for fun because he really, really enjoys that. And I'm all for it. I have no problem with people who want to do that. I personally don't like creating a new character until my previous ones died, but yeah, I can completely understand that. A lot of my games have taken place in different eras of my world, so I've gotten to build a pretty comprehensive timeline of how things work. So yeah, pretty comprehensive timeline of how the history of the world has evolved. However, I do try to leave it open enough that the things the players do does have impact, because obviously a big thing that I really, especially this time around with the Saturday game, as I've run more and more games, I write big epic fantasies where you have to want to save the world, and that decision is therefore not always going to be easy, because I like to be able to, for my players, it's their journey of being a hero. And unfortunately, one thing that isn't really talked about a lot is, you save the world, but at what cost? And like, for the players, I do like to focus on the choices they make do impact the way that the world runs and the way that the world works. Even not choosing can have an impact. Not choosing to do anything can have an impact. But essentially, the players that end up getting the most out of my games are the ones who do end up really pushing for a story, even if it's their own personal story. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's what I tend to do as well. And I will always create a main plot, but I do also like creating individual plots for each of the characters to follow for their characters, with a huge emphasis to my players that it is very important that they also care about each other's stories, not just their own, because I do tend to tie them together in certain ways. I do actually put Easter eggs for other characters' stories within their story that they might find. They might come across an NPC or an artifact that ties to both of their stories, that ties them together and things like that. So and especially since I know that some roleplay scenes can take a bit longer, like just recently with the Saturday game, one of our warlocks recently tapped into a magical hat which took him to the plane of dreams, where he met an NPC. And that scene ended up going a lot longer than I had anticipated. So especially because he was on his own. I generally don't like to try and give information to individuals, just because obviously, I don't necessarily want to make a whole heap of players just sit around for, I think it was like 45 minutes while he was asking his questions and doing what he wanted to do and things like that. But generally I try to steer clear from doing that. Just because that is a long time for a group of people, and it is a group of 6 people that I'm running for. That's a long time to have them sitting around for. Yeah, that's kind of cool. West Marches are the kind of the drop-in, drop-out games, aren't they? Or am I getting that wrong? quick save, otherwise Tide Runner will start yelling at me. See, I think it's certainly an interesting concept. I don't think it's one that I don't know if it's something I would personally run, just because of the way that I tend to write my stories, but I think it sounds super fun. I can honestly say, though, I have never run a setting outside of my own setting, and that includes the Wizards of the Coast one, which is why I tend to be a bit more relaxed about some of the rulings that Wizards of the Coast make in their newer books, because a lot of their rules and stuff like this pertain to their settings. So far. Most of my settings that I usually run, well, most of the games I run, or all of the games I run, should I say, in my own setting. So I don't actually run a lot of... I think it'd be really interesting to occasionally run one-shots and things like that. That'd be really cool. I personally have never played in Westmarch's games. But I can definitely see how they'd be fun, especially if you don't... Well, especially because I know that the Curse of the Forever DM is something that does come up a lot. Trying to orchestrate that with the other DMs as well would be... You'd want to have really good communication with the other DMs that you work with if you're working on bigger plot lines, I'm assuming. Thanks for stopping by, Zephyr. It was wonderful to have you. Have a good rest, and I hope you have a bit more of a relaxed day tomorrow. Save, goddammit. Alright, alright. Just for you. Thanks, Tide Runner. Thank you for stopping by anyway. It's lovely to have you, and I'll keep you updated with what Hasa is doing while you are confined to the town. I'll make sure he gets a etheric communicator, though, so that he can send text messages, but I'll make sure he also fixes Breeze's phone before they head off as well, so they at least have 2 phones in the group, not just Sebastian's. Yeah, I'll make sure that we try to keep him busy, and we'll have to talk about the adventures that he gets on without them. I hope you get some rest though, and I hope that you enjoy your couching tomorrow. I don't know if that's the correct word, couching. Although, only 2 days till Easter, so... Yes, only 2 days till Easter, so Good Friday is coming up shortly. So hopefully you should get to have snuggle soon. Have a good one. See, I think that sounds really, really cool, Lion. Like running a joint kind of, like the way that they cross over each other and things like this. See, I find it really hard because I run, I run very roleplay heavy games, so... I am getting better at combat, though, I can officially say. We've had a couple of combats in the last... I think we've had, so far, 3-4 combats in the last 8 weeks. So, which is unusual for me, as any of my players will actually tell you, who have played with me for a long time. So, yeah... Pulling some mysteries over multiple planes and multiple worlds, that could be kind of cool. That could be kind of fun. The most I have in my world is they do have the ability to time travel and even dimension hop. So, and that has just been stuff that has kind of happened a lot recently. I will say that in creating this world, though, it has been a very collaborative effort. I mean, I've got a number of players who have had characters who have gone on to become gods of the world in various different ages of the world and things like this. There are travelers who have been lost to different planes and dimensions, and because time flows weirdly, they have been able to crop back up and things like that. So it has been really, really cool doing stuff like that. I do a lot of lore building. A big part of the reason that I actually started doing my map building on streams is because it would force me to sit down and actually create battle maps for every town that the players would get into. Not because I had originally intended. I actually didn't intend to stream my D&D games. In some ways, the idea of streaming my D&D games was a little bit nerve-wracking. Yeah, it was a little bit nerve-wracking just because I was worried about how it would be perceived. I was worried about like what messages would be out there and things like this, and I just really wanted to make sure that my players just had a really good time. And I guess there was a big part of me that kind of wanted to share that with like you guys, and you know, get to see the amalgamation of all of my world building and things like that all kind of come together. So that being said, you know, I still occasionally get a bit on the fence about whether I want to share it, because obviously I don't want to do anything that's going to offend anyone. That's my biggest worry, that my material that I've created and things that I've taken inspiration from is actually going to upset people. And that's the biggest thing that I don't want. But the problem with that is there is also a fine line of the kinds of things that I enjoy writing about as well. The things that I enjoy writing about, the kind of inspiration I take from like old Wizards of the Coast lore, also real world mythos and things like this, and also inspiration from real world cultures and things like this, that I don't necessarily want. Like, I want it to be celebrated. I don't want it to be seen as me just picking apart bad pieces of things. Like, I actually want to, when I like using inspiration from cultures and things like this, I want it to depict not just the bad stuff, also really cool, good parts that. And so I do actually put because of the way that I worldcraft, I do put a lot of time and effort into trying to research to the best of my ability exactly why certain things are done, you know, or if there's cultural meaning behind certain things. If there's like really sacred meanings behind things, like obviously I don't touch those kind of things because it's not my place to tell those stories and it's not my culture, and the last thing I would want is to take inspiration from a culture but then also portray it in a negative light. Like, that's not what I want to do. But I am also aware that to create a diverse world, there is going to be, well, diversity. And I really just want a lot of that to be celebrated in the way that I create my worlds. So, which for anyone who has seen me will know that, you know, I also want to be really careful about how I do that as well, because I am a white Australian. You can imagine that that's, you know, I want to be able to do things respectfully. Hello, Lindsay. It's great to have you here. How are you? I love your little emote that you've put up. It's very cute. Well, I'm glad you're okay. I hope you are better than okay. I hope that you are managing to be better than okay and having a good time, looking after yourself, getting plenty of rest, drinking, like, oof, session 0 stuff. Yeah, no, I can understand that. Managing people, yeah. Managing new player excitement too. Ooh, so that your first time ever DMing. That's so exciting. Are you really, really excited about it? I hope you're really, really excited about it. DMing is fun. Yep. Hey, you know what? I will turn around and 100% say this. You know, I've been DMing now for 7 years, and even when I'm starting a new game, I get nervous. Because what happens if they don't like it? Ooh, that's exciting. It looks anime as hell. That is cool. I'm living for that. Some of the best things you can do is just take inspiration from things that just you absolutely love. Like recently I found some homebrew rules on how to completely run Pokemon trainers and Pokemon in my world, if somebody wants to. Ooh, I like that. I really, really like that. Magical biomes. Ooh, I like that. That's kind of cool. Yes, spook 'em early. Go for it. %100% approve of this idea. Spooking early. I like it. 100% approve. Straight to chaos, yes. Well, I hope it goes successfully for you. I look forward to hearing how it went. The BBAG. Nice. I like a good mystery to start. See, I've been struggling. My group on the Saturday has been playing in the game now for 8 weeks. They've been told by multiple NPCs where they need to go to figure out exactly what's going on in the town, which they need to go up to a lake. Still haven't gone to the lake. They went on a pub crawl instead. But they might have gone on a pub crawl instead. However, this did lead to the town being attacked as well, which just confirmed what everybody had been saying to them, which was the town is being beset upon by creatures that it had never been beset upon by before, because normally the creatures in question didn't come this far into town. Ooh, yes, bring the BBG EG to someone, link them to someone in the party. I like that. Well, we still haven't left the town, but it is becoming more and more apparent to the party that they're going to have to start, that they are actually talking about leaving the town very, very shortly. We actually have a guest NPC in at the moment who is basically encouraging them that they're going to have to leave the town at some point shortly, because that's his whole point of why he's there, is because the people who are in charge of the town know that this group is not adventurers by any stretch of the imagination. But the problem is all the adventurers that they have had and that they do have had been sent to go and investigate this lake. And all of them have gone missing. Yeah, I used to put a huge emphasis on planning my campaigns around my PCs. The only advice I will give is leave a little bit of leeway just in case somebody has to leave. On the pure proviso that if somebody has to leave and you've made them integral to the plot, it can stall your whole story. That's my only advice. Which of course you are free to ignore if you so choose. Because obviously I don't know your group's dynamic. They could all be long-term friends of yours. I can only speak from my experience of running games for strangers on the internet that I don't know. So yeah, it's the worst thing ever if you run a campaign for 3 years and then because of life commitments or whatever, somebody has to drop out, and then it means you might end up having to completely drop the arc that you had planned for them, which can derail the story a little bit. So like, it is good to tie them to the plot if you want, like, it is still good to tie them to the plot so they feel invested, but at the same time leave it also open in some areas so that you can kind of divert it if you have to. That's fantastic. We love a good charismatic group. Yeah, we love a good charismatic group. Hey, I will say another thing that I do, if you're holding it online, I use OBS to just, even when I'm not streaming the games, I do use OBS to record them, just because I'm really terrible at taking notes in session. So I do record it, I process the videos, I put them up into a Google Drive folder and link it so anyone in the group can actually go back and watch it if they so choose. Just because, yeah, I'm really bad at taking notes while we're playing. So I like to give myself a bit of a helping hand. So that's my advice. even if you choose not to stream it, take into consideration potentially just recording it if you don't take notes. So yeah, that's all I recommend. Crackle wolves. Buzzbear and crackle wolves. I like both of those. Is a buzzbear some kind of like bear hybrid? I do have to ask. A bumble bear! Ah! I like it. Absolutely love it. I like taking a lot of my monsters and things like that from Kobold Press's Tome of Beasts 1, 2, and 3. Just because I like the changes. And for some people, some of my players who have been playing for quite a while, it throws something new at them because they don't necessarily know all of the monsters they're going to be up against. This is exactly the reason why I started doing this. I do obviously have to have a little bit of, I do have to be a little bit more careful because, for example, some of my players are my mods. So, you know, I don't want to spoil the story for them. But yeah, this is one of the reasons why I set up the stream, just so that, you know, we could talk, share ideas, because there is nothing worse than being a DM and having no one to talk about your ideas with. And you get so excited and you're like, I just want to tell somebody. And I am notoriously bad for accidentally spoiling things to my players. So this way I have a little bit of an outlet. I can tell people about my world and my cool ideas and hope they think that people think it's cool. Yes, you are always welcome to come on here and share. I can't guarantee that your players won't find my stream, but yes, I do understand and appreciate how nice it is to be able to share the absolute chaos and madness that being a DM entails. Yeah. See, that's the hardest, isn't it? Try doing it for 7 years, and it's really hard because I have had some players who have played in my world now for like the wonderful Rosewood, who plays a character named Crisis in the Saturday game. He's been playing with me for like 7 years, and so he's seen. He has had his character play in every era of the world. And so, yeah, trying to keep things a secret is so hard. Oh, see, I wish my players would try and drag it out of me. No, they flat out refuse. They're like, no, we'll figure it out in game. And I'm like, but I just want to tell you because it's so cool. But I will say that there is a particular joy when you do eventually get to reveal it to them. See, that's kind of cool. I like that. Changes shapes per month. Oh, geez. The maps required for that must be insane. That's really cool. I like that. And that's a lot of work, so congratulations. Yeah, that sounds really, really cool that it's all coming up Millhouse. I love that. That's so cool. I think I'm gonna have to do something about some semblance of roads at least. On giant sand. That's so cool. See, I really like that concept. Sand whales. That's really, really cool. Oh, me too. That is exactly why I do this. like, I was so super stoked to share the trailer for the Saturday game with everyone, because it kind of it brought in elements of my world that a lot of people hadn't seen. Sand gliders and glass gliders, that's cool. To make this a bit darker. Like so. Oh, see, that's cool. I really like the level of thought you've put into that. Oh, see, that's really cool. Yeah, my campaign does have reference to the elements as well. Particularly the one that takes place in this part, like time part of the world. This is Ember's Den. This is the capital city of the Fire Realm, for example. The difference is mine is, I suppose yours is kind of similar with the elemental dragon kind of situation, but the world was created by the elemental dragons of earth, air, fire, water, light and dark. And light and dark in my world equate to logic being light and darkness being emotions, as opposed to good and evil, because both in extremes. Yes. So the Fire Realm does heavily base itself in a lot of Arabic and Egyptian cultures. I try to do a lot of research into ideas that I'm utilizing and things like this. So a lot of the towns and cities, for example, are built around oases. I say a lot, all of the towns and cities. The food does tend to be spiced. I do take elements of looking at references to, especially the foods of Arabic, Indian, and Egyptian cultures, and the spices they use. For example, a part of this world is, for example, that alcohol is a forbidden. They don't really forbid it per se, but culturally a lot of people from the Fire Realm do not drink. There's a lot of law relating to the genies as well, especially elemental genies and things like this. And so obviously I do a lot of research into the Ifrit, the Mephits, the Dao, and the Jinn. So at least from the genie perspective, as opposed to the Arabic myth of the evil spirits kind of thing. Magical weather, not so much magical weather, at least not here. In the Saturday game, where they are starting out their campaign in the Feywild, they do have a lot more references to magical weather, because a lot of that is tied to they're in the Feywild, or my version of the Feywild, which is called Feoweir. And in Feoweir, they are obviously denoted to spring, summer, winter, autumn. And so that tends to lean a lot into and looking into Norse mythos, Celtic mythos, a lot of European mythos for my Feywild, keeping it kind of in part with that. That being said, a lot of the draconic lore I have, not only have I taken draconic lore from Western draconic lore, but I've also taken a lot of time to look into Asiatic dragon lore as well, and not just the elements from a perspective of what we would see as the Celtic and Western elements, but also into the Asiatic elements as well, so wood and metal and yada yada yada. Oh yeah, no, my campaign originally didn't base itself to begin with in the other realms. It actually started out in just the earth, air, fire, water realm, and that part of the world. And it has slowly, gradually, over 7 years, the parties have gotten to play in different versions. And the Saturday game is actually taking place 1,000 years after an event known as the Merge, in which there was an event involving eldritch titans, essentially, who were basically the first forerunners of the gods, which takes a lot of influence from Zeus and Kronos, and Lucifer and God, and all of those kind of references. And obviously the entity that was trying to rise using the Necronomicon, one of the only ways, basically, once you started the process of awakening the Necronomicon, you would have to go through to banish the things that you awoke. You would have to essentially go through and keep reading the book until you got to the end, in which, when you finally got to the end, you had to begin the ritual to summon the Titan King, as he called himself. But there was a moment in the ritual where you could deny it. But the problem is, once you started the ritual, it did start the warping of reality, which led to the Merge. And the material plane, the Feywild, and the Hells were actually pulled into the same planar space, but they are kind of pseudo planes that are sandwiched on top of each other. So the world itself, all the land masses look identical, but the land masses of the actual landscape was unchanged. So all of the worlds are the same shape, all of the land masses are the same shape, but they have kept the characteristics of the worlds of the plane that they once were. So the Feywild has happened, and because the world has been pulled heavily out of balance and leaning in towards chaos, there has, unfortunately, in the material plane, been a rise of the witch queens, who are essentially tyrants, and a lot of people from the material plane actually fled to... Yeah. Oh, see, that's cool. Yeah, this time around, because all this happened, it did disconnect the world a little bit from... it disconnected the world from the celestial plane, which meant that if it wasn't for the quick thinking of the current ascendant god of order, basically focusing all his energy into making sure that there was still a connection between the gods and the world, if it wasn't for him, there would be no god powers in the world, but even as it was, a lot of the gods have fallen into a slumber. And this particular campaign is going to focus on the 9 metaphysical principles of the universe. And so I did spend a lot of time looking into the metaphysical principles that make up the balance of life in the universe and yada yada yada, and trying to figure out what, because 9 tends to be a big number that seems to reinforce itself throughout my world. And so I actually sat down and figured out that there was a philosopher from the first era of the world who basically theorized that there were 9 of these metaphysical principles in the universe that were not beholden to the belief of a god. They simply were. And they were creation, destruction, memory, reality, or thought and reality, elemental, ethereal, chaos, order, and balance. So the party is going to have to basically utilize these things throughout the campaign. They're going to have to figure out these things. Oh, see, that's cool. Yes. Yeah, whereas my 7 deadly sins, my 7 sins are essentially, they are temptations, essentially, that can manifest into physical form, usually taking over a host. And we did actually start to see the rise of them in the actual previous Saturday campaign that preceded the State of Anarchy. In when one of the players actually summoned the Sin of Wrath. Do I like how dark that is? Ah, see, that's cool. Yeah, no, I've got... It depends on what area we're looking at in my world. Because I actually have three different pantheons. Well, 4 if you include the Fae gods as well. It depends on what era you're looking at. We have the Empyrean gods from the first era. We have the Draconic gods of the second era, and of the third era, we have the Ascendant gods, essentially mortals who became gods. But one thing that this philosopher wanted to do was prove that these fundamental principles of the universe, unlike deities, like gods of the pantheon, they did not require humanoid belief, essentially, to exist, whereas the gods do. They require worship, essentially, to maintain their godhood, whereas these metaphysical principles are simply the principles of the universe that cannot be undone. It doesn't matter if nobody believes in them, they still continue to exist. Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, the only reason you need a fleshed out pantheon is if you literally have someone who wants to be a cleric, usually. Because a lot of the times, unless you're deliberately tying something to a god story, a lot of the time it's not something that they will encounter early on. And so it's one of those things that you're like, I have time. At present, in the Saturday game, the State of Anarchy, the head god of the Pantheon, who is maintaining the presence with the Celestial Plane, is a turtle called Nashing, and he was actually a player character. He was a Tranquility Monk Wild Soul Barbarian who ended up becoming the god of balance and order. Oh, see, that's kind of cool. Oh, my mic is doing a crackle. Why is my mic doing a crackle? I do know that it does happen occasionally. Try and keep, might be my phone. I'll try and keep my phone away from it, seeing that if that helps. Even my fancy mic that I use for work does a crackle occasionally. Is it improved any? It did stop. Okay, cool. I took my phone away. Hopefully it's not something worse. Hopefully it will sort itself out. A part of the reason I'm also updating this map as well is because I have a very exciting project coming up in the nearish future. I have a good friend who is going to be running a one-shot that may potentially flow into a campaign. The people that they've got lined up so far is a couple of players. I say a couple of players. It is a couple of players. From the Saturday game, we'll see the return of Valcor as Hudson Hawk. He will be an Aarakocra Barbarian. We're also going to see Uzumeka return as a character as well, but he's going to actually get to play as opposed to just be an NPC. And I believe he is going to be playing an Eladrin. And in addition to this, we're actually going to see, well, everybody who knows the channel and knows what else I do, Evil One is going to be a player as well. So there is that. So yeah, we're going to see a few things like that. So I honestly can't wait to show that to you guys. I do apologize there for a moment. I did also almost call the wonderful Hudson Hawk Hogan. We've had a couple of jokes about him. Another one that we kind of missed out on was Condor the Birdbarian. Oh, see, that's kind of cool. I like that. The most I do for my players is we play Two Truths and a Lie, which is where you get each of the players to write out just to you and send just to you. They don't send it to anybody else. They don't send it publicly. They just send it to you. So they write out 2 truths and a lie about their character. And then I cut those up, and I shuffle them around and I distribute them amongst the party so that everybody ends up with 2 truths and a lie. The thing is, the players just know them to be rumors, and it is up to them to figure out what they've heard about other people's characters and what rumors they've heard about other people's characters, and actually figure out what they know about the other characters through just grapevine. The other thing, so it's really cool. Tide Runner put me onto it, and I've really enjoyed doing it because it creates interest for the other characters, like really early on, for them to figure out, what is true, what's not true, what could be lies and things like this. And, it can create biases and things about certain characters for certain people and things like that. The other thing is please do. It is a really good thing to do if the characters don't know each other, or they've got a passing knowledge of each other or whatever. So for example, the Saturday group, they started on a ferry, and while they were on the ferry, because they were going to be on the ferry for 2 days, just through various bits and pieces that they heard, they managed to pick up rumors. And even now, like 8 sessions in, they still haven't gotten to the bottom of what everyone's rumors are. Some people hold it really close to their chest. Other people want to find out straight away. Like, it is very interesting to see what people come up with. The other thing I usually do, just for my personal thing, is I let them upon their build, they get to pick 1 uncommon magic item. However, it's not allowed to have combat capacity. So, for example, no weapons, no armor. It's just a cool little fun magic item that they can pick or choose that is not, they don't have to pay for or anything like that, because, it's really cool for them to have a starting magic item that they might find interesting. However, I do allow them to start the game with DM inspiration if they can figure out a story reason as to how they got that magic item. Yeah, so there you go. You've already got something of like that caliber in there. So yeah, it's just a really fun way to engage the players and get them kind of really intrigued by their character and wanting to do cool things. Because let's be honest, isn't that why we play D&D? To do cool things that we wouldn't normally be able to do? Oh, I'm just going to strip it out. See, that's really cool. I like that. I think that's a really way that you've added that in, and I really, really like that. Yeah, see, I like that. I like anything, honestly, that kind of just promotes world lore. Ooh. See, that's kind of cool. Oh, see, I like that. Yeah, I love when there are stories involved. And it should, when the players really, yeah, exactly. That is exactly why I love doing what I do. It's why I love DMing. I love sharing these stories with people. I am so glad that you're getting to experience the joy of that too, Lindsay. Oh, professional. I did not know that. That's so cool. Yes. Getting to draw the NPCs and even the player characters is so much fun. I love doing it. I am in no stretch of the imagination a professional artist. So I just really... I mean, a lot of the art style that I tend to do is a lot of chibi art, so... But that doesn't mean I don't enjoy drawing the art for my players' characters and stuff. You know, just those little things. Nice. Didn't think about it like that, but your art is above average. I bet you it's amazing. It is a fire symbol, yes. Here, I'll zoom out so you can have a look. Yes, it's supposed to be a bit like a phoenix and a flame symbol because it's the capital city of the Fire Realm. That is one of the hardest things, Lindsay, complimenting your own work. I mean, a lot of people have turned around to me, so I am an audiobook narrator by trade now. And a lot of people turn around to me and say, oh, I could never do it. I hate the sound of my own voice. Do not assume for a second that I like the sound of my own voice. But the fact is, you have to be a bit subjective about it. And after a while, you kind of... Yeah, see, I don't particularly like listening to my own voice, but I have to listen to it to edit my work. And there is that realization that you have to kind of continually tell yourself, yeah, I can understand that. I can imagine that is, like, everyone hears their own voice differently, but when it's really not how you envisage for yourself, I can definitely understand that. Yeah, I think one of the things that I kind of remind myself as well, though, at least from my perspective, obviously, with my voice, the thing I have to keep reminding myself is the way that I hear myself recorded is the way that people normally hear me anyway. Yeah, definitely not on the same level, obviously, so... But it hits different. Yeah. I definitely have a lot of sympathy for people who really can't envisage themselves in the body that they're in, basically. So, I hope that one day you can find a way to find happiness within yourself and your voice. So, however that journey takes place. Oh yeah, I can imagine. I think the only thing for me that would come somewhat close is when I go read the reviews. And I know this is definitely not something that you should do, but you know, I'm prone to this. I think everybody stalks themselves on the internet every now and then, themselves on the internet. But when I go read reviews on books that I've narrated, and people give them good reviews, but also not just good reviews, they go out of their way to make a compliment on the narrator. Like, it just completely turns my day around when people actually like what I do. And I know that that's not even in the same ballpark of feeling validated for who you are, but yeah. Just getting that validation that you might be where you want to be, basically. Looking for exactly. So on YouTube I watch a lot of doll creators, and there is one particular doll creator, Moonlight Jewel, that's who it is. Now I had to think of it for a second. There's one creator that creates dolls, like ball jointed dolls, Moonlight Jewel, and she has recently been doing a VTuber series, and just seeing all the designs of VTubers out there and everything, like, I have so much respect for VTubers, and also the people that design their actual avatars. I don't know if avatar is the right word for what VTubers have, but when the animation, the looks, and when, you know, they move so perfectly when the actual creator does and everything, it is so chef's kiss. I can definitely appreciate how much time models, the time and effort though to get them to perfectly map to every little particular facial expression, hand movement, eye expression, all that kind of stuff. Like, on the intros to my game and stuff like this, I've done really basic animation, so the absolute appreciation of the mapping on the models is phenomenal. Yeah, I need to get around to opening up a Discord server. My problem is, and the reason I haven't done it yet, is because most of the people that I would ask to be like, I'm really big on internet safety, and also creating safe places for people who want to interact with each other. Just because I myself have been through some pretty rough experiences running D&D games online and stuff like this, and I don't want anyone to ever be in that situation. So having someone who can be like a moderator is really important to me, and the fact is, a lot of the people that I would ask to be a moderator have jobs and stuff like this, so not being able to keep an eye on it all the time would be concerning to me, because I know that I want the community to be a friendly place, basically. And I mean, this has been something that I've actually been thinking about recently, especially with some of the players and some of the viewers that I've started to get because of some of the players I have, like Uzumeka and things like this, which are slightly more mature commenters, for better words. Obviously, also, I'm clearly Australian, and we are a little bit more relaxed and we swear a little bit more and things like that. And so I've really been thinking about whether I should be switching my stream over to, obviously you can't do it per stream, like you can't do it per aspect, it has to be the whole stream, whether I actually put like a mature content warning on the stream, just mainly because the last thing I want is for younger people to come onto my streams and, you know, me, because it is something I worry about, obviously, is not necessarily exposing people to things, because obviously that's not up to me to police how they interact with the internet. But for example, in Australia, we have had a few commenters. If you've ever seen me on Evil One stream on the Monday nights for the Power Rangers game, some of the commenters are a little bit more adult. So, and that's the thing. I don't know how many people in my followers or the people that watch me are younger. For example, I do have a bit of a rule though, because I myself, I am 35, turning 36 very shortly. I'm married with kids and things like this. A lot of my players are also in that mid-20s, early 30s, even right up to the 50s, and, you know, various different life stages. But as a general rule, because of that, I generally don't take players, for example, under the age of 18. So, which I know could be pretty controversial on that particular idea, but it's more for the point of, I don't like the aspect of And I don't see a 17-year-old obviously as a kid by any stretch of the imagination, because I obviously don't want to give that insult of potentially that they are a child. But there is a lot of trouble that we've seen recently of adults and grown adults interacting with people who are underage. And that can be 17, 16 and things like that. And it's just not a kettle of fish, a barrel of worms that I really want to open, unfortunately. Just because, yeah, and that's exactly it. That being said, obviously I am, because I'm online with the Twitch stream and all this kind of stuff and the stuff that I do with my work, I obviously pay a lot of attention to how stuff happens online, especially because I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old. So wanting to understand how the internet works and how people on the internet work, I think that obviously we're not going to keep younger people off the internet, and we shouldn't by rights. But if I can make my community as safe as possible for people coming into that, I would like to do so. It's no different from tomorrow when I do my Xbox stream. I'm actually starting up a new game. I'm giving, I think it's called Genesis Noir, a bit of a go on the Xbox. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He actually doesn't really have a lot to do with the TTRPG community at all. If you watch our Star Wars game over on Evil One's channel, though, he does play in that. It is the only game that he plays in. He plays the Chewbacca. The Wookiee, should I say, not Chewbacca. Chewbacca is the character. He plays a Wookiee. And yeah, I managed to convince him, but also he's not home all the time, unfortunately. His work does have him traveling a lot. So getting him to sit down for a regular campaign does get quite difficult. So, but yeah, he's also a bit more of really into sports and things like this. Don't get me wrong, he enjoys his fantasy and things like this, but he's more of a crime shows and AFL football and things like this. I know that that's a bit like a thing there, but yeah, no. But that being said, we still talk about, he hears about my campaigns nonstop, even if he doesn't want to. And he will tell you I talk at length about them. So he is very supportive of it though. So, and yeah, so I have tried to get him into it before, but yeah, no, we do play video games together. On the Xbox. We usually get together with a group of friends on Friday night and play things like Battlefield, 2042, Siege, Overwatch, a lot of shooters, obviously. And yeah, we have a great time. Occasionally, I do sucker him into playing some Stardew Valley with me, which he actually seems to enjoy. So, yeah. Haven't managed to convince him to play Grounded, and even then, the way that I play Grounded, somehow the spiders find me. I will point out with love is a very fickle thing. I mean, if you ask my husband, so we've been married 9 years as of about a month ago. But when we got married, he was about 35, so he is a bit older than me. So we got married when he was 35, but up until that point, he thought he was never going to find anyone. He just didn't think it was in the cards for him because he hadn't found that right person yet. Not because he wasn't looking. He did want someone. And I mean, when he did message me back, because we grew up in the same area of the country, so we did actually know each other prior to us getting together. But we hadn't talked in like 10 years, and I just happened to have broken up with my ex at the time. But yeah, no, I changed my Facebook status, and because we knew each other, he sent me a message just wanting to be friends, like if I needed somebody to talk to or whatever, and it just kind of went from there. I think the biggest thing about love and having a long-standing love and a romance is really you're not looking for a romance, you're looking for a friend. A best friend, if you will. And I know that sounds cheesy and corny, but love changes so much over the years, especially when you're married, especially once you start adding family and kids in and things like this. You grow into different people. Because my husband and I are clearly not the same people we were when we got married. Yeah, and I know that can be super heart-wrenching, and, you know, I'm not going to turn around and say, oh, hope for it to turn into more, but because obviously those kind of thoughts can also lead down, you know, really devastating paths. But I think it's really important to remember that having support and also friendships can take on, in a lot of ways, it depends on what you're actually looking for. Because one of the pieces of advice that I was given, especially by my grandparents, was don't marry someone for sex alone. Because as you get older, the bodies get older and things like this, and eventually that kind of stuff fades. And if that's all you married for, and if that's the only reason you're together, eventually the relationship, unless you are able to change together and grow together, that is going to fade. Yeah, exactly. And love, friendship, companionship, I think the biggest and hardest thing that a lot of, and this is just obviously my opinion, and not everybody has to agree with me on this, I think the biggest thing that a lot of people forget is a lot of the time what you're actually looking for is companionship. Because a lot of people in the world, and this is just my experience, having gone through, had kids, yada, 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 especially because I've got youngish kids, you kind of get to a point where you don't want to be touched anymore. You're just so touched out. And I know that that's not always fair on your partner and things like this, because they too want love and cuddles and recognition and stuff like this. But that's kind of why it's important to have a good support network first and foremost, you know. And when you find a significant other, they manage to find a way to be a part of your support network without being your everything and your all. So that's just my opinion. So, because most people I know, eventually you want space. You know, you want, especially when you get into a situation after you've been married and things like this. And I get that some families do just love doing everything together. Unfortunately, I was not raised in a family like that. So this is why I'm like, this is just my experience. Not that I had a super traumatic upbringing or anything like this. It's just my family didn't really do that. And so it just became more of a situation of having a really good support network of friends and people that care about you. And a lot of times when you do have a good support network with good friends and things like this, you are going to get that companionship, the cuddles. It depends on how open you are with your friends though. So I just happen to be a very touchy-feely person. I love hugs. I love giving my friends hugs and things like this. But because I do have young kids that need me all the time, I've just reached the point where I'm just so burnt out on giving energy to others, if that makes sense. So, yeah, learning to love each other, but also giving people space is important too. Yeah, that's exactly it. And you don't necessarily need to have, well, romance is not exactly the right word, but you don't necessarily need to have a sexual relationship to get those things. So, and I think, yeah, and this is why it comes back to, I think when you're looking for a good relationship, you should be friends first and foremost, because your love as you grow together as a couple will change. Exactly. And that's exactly it. So, you know, I talk a lot too. My husband is actually a very quiet person. He doesn't actually talk a lot. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't love, like, I'm a very clearly I talk a lot. I get very passionate about things and stuff like this. And so the thing that I've kind of, like, my husband really likes is actually watching me be passionate about things. You know, he enjoys me being excited about it, but he's actually not a very talkative person. And a lot of the time he'll just say he just doesn't know what to say. Hey, you know what? Most of the time, if you buy a pizza, you know, and you're with a group of people you know, and you're like, hey, you want to share my pizza? Someone will want a piece of pizza. I mean, it's pizza. How could you not want to share it? That being said, after a long night out, or just when I'm having a bad day, I will eat a whole pizza on my own. Yes, pineapple. I agree with you. Pineapple is a topping that should be on pizza. I am aware that not everyone believes that. My husband would disagree with you on the mushroom, but I am open to mushroom too. So, but yes, in my opinion, pineapple has a place on pizza. And I realize that is controversial to say. I don't know. I think anchovies would have to be pretty high up there. Yeah, I can understand spinach. Yeah. I actually, one thing that I tend to do is I will get a cheese pizza, just a straight cheese pizza, and when it arrives or I bring it home, it's something I think I learned from, I think they do it in Japan and Korea. I put honey on it, which I know sounds weird, but it's so good. It is really, really good. I know it sounds weird, but yeah, no, cheese and honey. Oh, I know. It kind of adds that same kind of sweetness that pineapple does, though, because honey depends on the honey, but honey isn't just sweet in the same way that pineapple is not sweet. I mean, too much honey does end up being, I think, too salty, like almost almost like a salt burn. Ooh, I hadn't considered pecans. We should. Wait, pecans or pecan? I mean, in Australia we say pecan, but I know that in America they say both pecan and pecan. So, and I only care about that stuff because most of my books I read, I narrate in an American accent. So, I have to learn how to do things like that. Both nuts. All the nuts. Don't matter. See, one thing I'm kind of disappointed about in Australia is we don't seem to have much of a pie culture. Although I did learn recently, and this is relevant because it is coming up to Easter, Americans don't have chocolate Easter eggs. I agree with that 100%. Baked brie with honey and pecans, chef kiss. Add a little rosemary to it too. A little bit of rosemary, it'd be delicious. I love that this has just turned into a food stream. Nah, not at all. You just like food and there's nothing wrong with that. See, I've always liked food. I mean, before I was an audiobook narrator, that is not actually what I'm trained in to do as a job. That's not what I spent my life studying. My first degree that I have, if it's a degree really, I actually have a trade certificate. I am a fully qualified chef. I'm also I have a diploma of beauty therapy, so I'm a beauty therapist as well. And I kind of just stumbled my way into being an audiobook narrator. So make of that what you will. I would be happy to do so. Yes. Yeah, my nightbot's a little bit... I agree with you. We better eat honey cheese pecan pizza. Yeah, Nightbot's a little excessive. I will point that out, so I apologize for that. But yes, I can see your deleted message, and yes, we will eat honey cheese pecan pizza. Yes, I agree. Yeah. Nightbot picks some weird things to block. So it's fine. Yeah. So, but yes, I have had to perfect my American accent to be able to read. In the Netherlands. Oh, so you're in the Netherlands. You know what though? Mashed potato with any kind of vegetables. See, I'm pretty sure this is a British dish that we've kind of, obviously because of Australia being Australia, we do bubble and squeak. We call it bubble and squeak. I think the British version of bubble and squeak is different, but usually ours is mashed potato with any leftover veg, essentially. That'd be great. Yeah. See, I love cooking all sorts of things. Like, there are some foods that I look at and, yeah, I wish there were some things that I could find easier here to make things. Like, for example, we don't have canned biscuit dough here like in America. So there are lots of situations where we have to, if we want to make something like croissants, we have to make them from scratch with all the butter and everything like this. We don't just have like pre-made doughs that we can just easily use. Yeah, see, Lindsay, cooking is one of those things that it is just practice. There's no well, if you ask the Italians, there is probably a wrong way. But 90% of the time, if you can make a dish that is edible, you are already, that's all you actually have to do. I mean, I know that I make my dishes look fancy, but I should hope so. I was a chef for 10 years. But yeah, I think the main thing is, as long as you make it is much better for your food to taste good than look good. I mean, I know there's the whole you eat with your eyes and everything like that, but study to be a florist. See, that's a skill I wish I had. Because I struggle to keep flowers alive and make them look pretty together. I wish. Okay, I do have to ask, how do you fail at being a florist? That's unfortunate. I hope it doesn't make things too hard for you. I do apologize if anything I say comes across as a little insensitive, because I don't know a lot of the times how I should react in these situations, because obviously cluster headaches. No, I can understand cluster headaches fucking suck. I myself suffer from migraines. Not the same thing, but yeah, no, I can definitely understand that. I have a family member who kind of suffers from, I don't know how similar it is, but also a lot of, I know there's a term for it, but like the phantom pain and things like that. And yeah, just take paracetamol. Yeah, no. 100%. I think that is really shitty. And it's not as simple. And I think a lot of people forget that it's not just as simple as, oh, we'll just get over it. Because funnily enough, when it is a headache or anything like that, it's actually really hard to concentrate and function and, exist. Like when I have a migraine, and like I said, I know it's not the same thing, but having a migraine, I get nausea. I have light sensitivity, not so much noise sensitivity, but light sensitivity. Nah, it wipes me out for a whole day. Normal house chores. Hey, you know what? Even if it's just something that you can do it around the house, but also if you can learn a passion for cooking. Yeah. See, it is part of the reason I got into audiobook narration. Not for an illness sake, I'm aware having kids is not an illness, but because my husband works away, it meant that the things that I trained in, like being a chef, being a beauty therapist, a lot of those jobs are primarily when they take place when people are not working. And unfortunately, that is not conducive to having kids. And I didn't just want to be not that there's anything wrong with being a stay-at-home mum, but I realized very quickly how bored I got. And doing something for myself. I actually really suffered from anxiety and stress because of it. And I would hyperfixate on not getting things done and whatnot. So doing something for myself that I could focus on just for me really helped. But well, that's exactly it. I mean, there's nothing worse than feeling, and I know that it's not, like I said, the same thing, but there's nothing worse than feeling like you're not contributing. Even if you are, there's nothing worse than feeling like you're not contributing, because that very quickly evolves into feeling like a burden. And even though your friends and your family and all that kind of stuff turn around and say you're not. Exactly. This is why I started DMing. Yeah. It gives you a sense of freedom so that you don't feel trapped. Because, yeah, you don't want to feel like a burden and you don't want to feel trapped like there is nothing else you can do. And it is amazing how much just doing a few little things for yourself, even if it is just cleaning the house and stuff. Yeah, exactly. And it does wonders for your mental health and your self-esteem, especially when... see, at least you've got something to distract you, and I think that that's really important. So I'm really glad that that's helping you. Yeah, really glad that's helping you. All I can say is I hope you have more good days than bad. That's what I hope for you. Perfect way to look at it. I love it. Yeah, see, Nightbot's excessive. I like that. Roll a whiz save. Poke it with a stick. Where are my taverns? One here. I think I'm going to bring these down in size. They're a little big. Yeah, one of the things that I've learned really early on was a lot of players don't know when to walk away. Yeah, and that becomes the hard part. See, that's one thing I've kind of struggled with my fight building, basically. Obviously, that idea of create something that's going to fight them, but also create something when you create an encounter that's multifaceted. So not just one creature, because a lot of times it doesn't. I've realized that if it's just one creature, a lot of times the creature will lose because the party is significantly stronger, yada yada yada. And so lots of yes, no, these are oases because it's in a desert. Yeah, because it's in a desert. I've built all of the towns and cities around oases. The elemental dragons are actually siblings, so water is necessary for life. But the actual water realm is edged all around the outside edges. Let me see if I can... In Streamlabs, let me see if I can put in a map for you. A world map. Show you what the world looks like. Might take me a second, and I probably will have to resize it. So give me 1 sec. Told you I'd have to resize it. Here we go. So over here, I just realized I can't show you where I'm clicking. You can probably have a bit of a squiz there. So yes, so Ember's Den is to the left hand side there. Yep, Cherryport. So to give a bit of an indication of where everything is, the sandy colours, the edge places, are the water realm. They actually descend further into the water, and they have a lot of aquatic races, so a lot of races that live underwater as well. So their cities are actually sprawling, and what you actually see on the surface is actually just a small portion of it. The white and the white area and the mountains is the air realm. The green is obviously all the earth realm in the center there. The reddish color is the fire realm. The small island, the small set of islands off to the left there, minus the one that looks like a turtle, are the dark isles, and the turtle is the light isle. So Maya Eska is actually on the back. It does move around, not quickly, but it is on the back of a giant turtle that does move around. So yeah, this is what the world looked like before the starfall happened. And then the starfall happened, and it turned into, let me see, do I have, add a secondary image? Again, I'm going to have to resize it. When I can find it. Let's see. So after the starfall, which I've shown this one before, but can't hurt to show again. Again, I'm going to have to resize this one. So the starfall happened, and the Ascendant Gods changed the world. Well, they added to the world, should I say. Which, if I bring you up, and I can resize you again. So this is the world for the Saturday game, and this is what the world turned into. But if you look down on the right-hand side, between Okesh, Shuji, and Askell there's a whole heap of clustered little islands that seem to, with shadows under them that are floating. That's the Ascendant Isles. That is all that is left of the first map. So yes. So that's kind of what I'm building now. Okay, so I put... Yeah. And then obviously we have the different world maps as well for Feawir and Nethraig, which is the Hells basically as well. Yeah, so it's... I do already have maps for all of those cities and towns on that first map, but because I'm planning on potentially bringing this to a stream, I can't use those maps, or I want to be able to share the maps with people, and if I don't... Unfortunately, if I keep the maps as they are, I'm not going to be able to share them because they're not my original artwork. So it is a matter of kind of just having to rebuild them. Unfortunately. Because, yeah, the last thing I would want to do ever is actually steal somebody's artwork, so... Because, well, I know for a fact how long these maps take, and I would hate it if somebody was stealing my work. So, it's one thing to use them privately, but, you know... Okay. This is... And then obviously I do save these maps at a higher resolution as well, so you can see them better. Flip that. Okay, what else have we got here? This is the Fire Realm is known for warlock studies. They are known for the gladiatorial arenas, as well. Because this is a capital city, they are going to have a lot of temples as well, one to every god. I am consulting with the list of the town that I've already got, so... The mason, that's the smith. Oh, do a quick save. Okay, I think that's probably a good place to stop there for the night. I want to thank everybody who decided to stop by, have a chat. Always great to have you here. I hope you're drinking plenty of water, getting plenty of rest, looking after yourself in general. I hope the Easter Bunny, if you celebrate it, brings you lots of chocolate, or as I discovered in America, candy. But otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful holiday if you observe this holiday. I hope no matter where you are in the world, you are having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world. And just remember that as long as you are looking after yourself and just doing your best, that's all anyone can ask of you. I will see you all tomorrow. If you are interested in watching me play some Xbox, I am playing Genesis Noir. Otherwise, you can catch me on Saturday night for State of Anarchy. We are up to session 9. So let's see how that goes. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week, and I will see you all again next time. Bye.